Yo, what's up guys, d-cell here, back with some final gear, and today I'm going to be going over Motoko and doing an in-depth guide and a review for this character. Now I will be splitting Purin and Motoko into two different parts for the reviews, so the videos are a little easier to digest, and also so I can give you guys more information in a shorter amount of time per video. Do let me know in the comments down below if you do prefer this format, or do you want the longer videos. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys are thinking. So grab a drink and settle in, and let's go ahead and get this thing started. Alrighty, let's dive in game and go ahead and start reviewing Motoko. So when we pull up her pilot properties, we can see, I think her design is really well done. If you like Ghost in the Shell, I think you're gonna like their designs. All of the designs in the collab, they all look very good. It's not fuzzy. I think the detail on them is really good. But if you're not a big, fan of Ghost in the Shell, you're probably not gonna like them. I think it's just kind of what it is. Now, as far as the in-game models, I think the character model is really good, and I really do like the custom mech model. Now, I have heard quite a few people say they don't like the custom mech here, but honestly, I think it's really well done. I think it's extremely cute having her stand on top of the Tachikoma there. And again, if you're a fan of Ghost in the Shell, you're probably gonna like that custom mech, and if you're not, you probably won't. And for her specs, she's gonna have submachine gun and light parts, so that means she's gonna have a crit chance of 10% or an extra crit chance of 10%, and she's gonna boost evasion by 10%. And her bonuses for her custom mech is going to be crit chance and crit damage, and the 5-piece will enhance Motoko's skills. It'll boost crit damage by a further 10%, and of course unlocks the custom mech design. One thing to note about Motoko is when she's fully equipped with her custom mech, she will attack at 7 rounds a second, and she will have 60 rounds to shoot. So let's go ahead and break down her skills. And if you're not aware how I do a skill analysis, I always do an analysis based on their custom mech. So her high gear will deal 1650 damage to one target. It is a single target attack, and then it will buff her damage by 20% for 10 seconds. It costs 6,000 energy, and this skill does recharge fairly quickly once you have her unlocked. The biggest benefit of her high gear is actually coming from a combination of her talent passive plus the circuit break that she inflicts upon doing the high gear. So when she does her high gear, she's going to inflict the circuit break debuff onto an enemy, and then that's going to allow her with her passive to do more damage, but we'll go into that in just a little bit. Her skill 2 passively buffs her crit damage by 30% and her accuracy by 15%. Her skill 3 will make her critical hits increase her damage by 3% per stack. These stacks do last until the end of battle, and they can go up to 30 stacks, so that is a maximum of 90% extra damage. Now at maximum stats, she is going to ignore defense and shields, so she's not entirely dependent on Snowy, for example, to get that ignore defense. However, Snowy will help her with that ramp up time. Now the minimum ramp up time is of course 30 seconds because each stack can only trigger once a second. Now that 30-second window is not guaranteed because it is dependent on whether or not she gets to stack from the crit chance. However, it can only trigger once a second, so the very minimum you can get that buff is 30 seconds. And her skill 4 will be when her HP drops below 70%, she will get a 30% crit buff until the end of battle. Now you will notice the one nice thing about Motoko's passive skills here is once she unlocks them, they persist until the end of battle. There is no real upkeep to them. Now her skill 4 will also make her standard attacks have a 70% chance to deal extra damage to buffed enemies. Now this extra damage will be 2x damage for one buff, 2.5x damage for 2 buffs, and triple damage for 3 buffs. One thing of importance to note here is her skill 4 does stack directly with her talent. So let's go ahead and talk about her talent passive. After releasing her high gear, she has a 90% chance to deal 3 times damage to an enemy with circuit break status. Killing an enemy during this state has a 60% chance to cause erasure, which works just like Mirabelle's extinction, so it will negate skill chips and skill revives and just permanently kill a character. So if you're building Motoko, it's very important that you understand her damage is not going to be coming from her high gear. It's going to be coming from that short window after she performs her high gear. So it's vitally important that you get her talent to at least floor number 5, okay? Because that's what's really gonna enable her to be a really good damage dealer. All right, so let's go ahead and go over how to build Motoko. Motoko is pretty easy to build, honestly. She's pretty much your standard DPS build with a few caveats. So let's go ahead and talk about how you should build her out. I do want to say this is pretty much my final build for Motoko here, and I just kind of ran out of modules and critical crashes, and I don't want to invest in her anymore, at least for now. But at the stage I have her, she's doing insane amounts of damage, and she is by far and away my best damage dealer. So as you can see here, her HP is a little over 115,000. She has about 22,000 attack and 85% crit chance, 320% crit damage, and about 60% accuracy. So yeah, again, these numbers aren't perfect, but they get the job done. So let's go over the pieces and how you should kind of gear them out. Okay, so looking at this piece here, we have mech attack, crit chance, crit damage, and attack rate. So while these subs look pretty good, what I would really like to see is this attack rate rolled off into an energy recharge percent, because the more time she can get her high gear out, the more burst window she has of the 3x, that 6x, you know, that crazy amount of damage. So she really does need that energy recharge. And her attack rate is already high at 7 attacks per second. Having extra attack rate onto that is not doing that much. The crit chance is nice because she doesn't have any skills that passively buff her crit chance. So unless you pair her with somebody who will buff her crit chance even further, she does need a little higher than normal crit chance, because it's going to be a little lackluster if you're not critting at least most of the time. Onto the cockpit here, you can see I have accuracy, crit damage, attack, and damage percent. So this one's a little tough, right? Because on the cockpits, we can't get energy recharge and we can't get attack rate and things like that. And she already has an insane damage percent buff on her skill kit. So the only thing I could roll off here is the accuracy, but honestly, I would probably leave this accuracy, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. And moving on to the frame, this is another piece, right? Because there's nothing here that I could really roll and to get a very noticeable gain in damage per second, right? Her output is already high enough, because I can't roll energy recharge on this piece. I can't roll attack speed. I can't roll critical hit chance. You know, I can't roll any of those things on cockpits or frames. So I leave the evasion on just for extra survivability, and the mech health at 14.7%, because that is almost a max roll. I did manage to get a max roll on the crit damage, so this piece is pretty nice. But yeah, there's nothing really. I mean, I could roll mech health or evasion for damage percent, but since she already has a really high damage percent, I don't see that helping her out that much. And the survivability will help for pushing like challenges and things like that. And the last piece for her, you can see I have accuracy of 10%, mech attack 9, crit damage 11, and boost energy recharge by 6.6. If you remember earlier in the video, I just said that I would have kept accuracy on that other piece, and that's because I have an accuracy here that I could sacrifice, and I could get something like high gear cost reduction or even reload speed. Something like that here would give me a small advantage over taking the accuracy off of the cockpit, because the cockpit I can't get reload speed or high gear cost reduction. I can't get any real damage like stats on the cockpit. So the mount here is where you can get your attack speed, where you can get your energy recharge, your high gear reduction, and things like that. So do keep that in mind when you're trying to min max. And I will have a guide coming out soon on the best way to really roll your gear and how to re-roll your stats. And I have the function assist chip here, which is just recycled from the blade that I was using. It's the same piece you've already seen: crit, attack. It's got crit damage, energy recharge, and mech attack. So this is all pretty much like what I want. Now maybe taking that damage percent and getting some crit chance would help me out here, so I could get closer to that 100% crit chance. But yeah, that piece is pretty good. And then again, this is another cycled out piece: attack rate, mech attack, damage, and crit damage. Here I could probably take the attack rate out again for some crit chance, just to boost that up, or maybe even try to get some high gear energy regen or something like that. So yeah, I could definitely take some stats off here, but for now I'm just going to leave it as is. So the first thing that you want to do when you're focusing on building your Motoko is try to get mech attack percent on all of your pieces and try to get crit damage on all of your pieces. From there, you want to get about 40-50% accuracy, and then start buffing your crit chance as much as possible and getting as much energy recharge as you can. And that's pretty much the most effective way to build Motoko. There are little differences here and there, but if you can get that crit dam to about 300-320% and your attack to 20,000 to 22,000, you're going to be doing excellent damage. So then you can focus on your high gear recharge, your crit chance, and get that little bit of accuracy that you need. Overall, Motoko is the single strongest damage dealer that we have gotten thus far in global. The amount of damage that she can dish out in a stage is unsurpassable so far. Of course, once we get Lillian and some other URs, then that's not going to stay the same. However, once you get your Motoko built properly, she will be miles and leagues ahead of any DPS that you have currently built. Even a halfway built Motoko will outperform a Blade, just to give you an idea of how strong she is. She can unlock other strategies that you wouldn't be able to have. She can pretty much single-handedly clear the depth 6, the red depth 6 level by herself. She can solo kill heroic solar. She can kill Bernadette with just by herself, in Liangle. Her damage enough, she can do 100 million damage in like a minute and a half, on a lucky day, especially if they have some buffs attached to them, like once solar buffs herself and you get that high gear burst, like she will just shred and melt their HP. It's absolutely ridiculous what this unit is capable of. But is she worth it? And what are my thoughts? Should you summon on this unit? Should you summon for any of the collab units? So let me take a moment and just give you some real talk here. If you are 100% free to play, you have to make sure that you're going to be able to get any of these collab units not only to 5-star, but also to at least talent level 5 for this to be worth it. You only get enough sequences to get them to 5-star, and if you're lucky, maybe 4 to 5 on the talent level, depending on how many dupes of Motoko or Purin that you get. So you really need to make sure you have enough crystals to at least boost them on to that talent level 5, because in global we don't have a way of getting sequences outside of the collab, which is a shame. So unfortunately, if you are 100% free to play and you're not planning on buying any of the packs or anything like that, I can't really suggest you pulling for Motoko or Purin. You're better off saving for the URs that are right around the corner and future banners of the regular SSR characters, because we will be getting some really strong SSR characters in the future. So you're better off saving for them, because those characters you can max out. You are not going to be able to max out a collab character or any collab characters in this game. And as far as I understand it, collabs in this game do not get reruns. So you're basically going to get stuck with a low performing unit if you're free to play, unless you can get that talent fleshed out. Now for my trade pass buyers and my low spenders, this is a perfect opportunity for you. Even though this is most likely a bait banner, this kind of provides you with some potential to skip Lillian, and I'll explain what I mean. The $15 packs are a great way to get Motoko or Purin to that 5-star floor 10 talent level, and at that 5-star floor 10 they will be insane. Purin is an insane support, and Motoko will without doubt overshadow all of your DPS. So if you're a low spender or a trade pass buyer, you can probably pick up Motoko or even Purin so long as you get them to floor level 10 and you buy that 750 crystal pack to get those extra sequences. You can get Motoko, for example, and that'll give you a way more than enough DPS that you're going to need for a while, that you would be able to skip the Lillian banner that's probably coming up, and you'll be able to save for Morgan, which is a more recommended unit by the community. Morgan typically has a higher PvE value than Lillian. Don't get me wrong, Lillian is super strong and she's definitely strong in PvP, but out of the natural URs, she pretty much has the least amount of use once once the URs start coming out. So while she'll be really good first thing, her usefulness will start to taper off. So you're not really missing much if you skip her, get Motoko, and save for Morgan. And on the plus, the UR banners do rerun, so unlike the collab banners, we will eventually get a rerun of Lillian. So I think it's a pretty safe option for my low spenders to go ahead and grab one or even both of these units if you have the crystals for it, and then start saving for Morgan. But hey guys, that's just my opinions on things. Let me know in the comments down below. Are you planning on pulling this collab units? Have you already pulled? What do you think about these units? I'm still on the fence of whether I want to pull Purin or not. I do have the crystals for it, but if I do that, I will likely not be able to pick up Lillian, which I really want to get Lillian, and I want to get Morgan as well, but I just don't know if I'm going to have the funds for that. But let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think? If you've made it this far in the video, consider liking and subscribing to the channel, as that greatly helps me out. Clicking that sub notification helps not miss any of these reviews if you like watching them, and leaving me a like or dropping a comment helps me out with the algorithm so much, and I appreciate all the support that you guys have been giving me. But that's gonna wrap things up, guys. Have a great day, be safe out there because it's getting a little crazy, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.